Okay, so that one was a platform scale house, the one with the white garage doors.
Yeah.
So the wagon has got the same door on both sides. So the wagon would go right in, get weighed, and then go right out the other end.
Okay.
Then the little annex to the brick building beside it is the old meat locker, great big cold storage room with the rail to hang the halves of beef right there. And then the brick building beyond that little annex was food storage, and then the next one beyond it that looks almost the same but has dormers on it,
Yeah.
that one was also food storage. And there's actually, if you look between the two buildings, there's this little thing that looks like a stone wall.
Yeah.
It's actually the upper half of a walkway between the two. There's a little tunnel that connects those two food storage buildings.
Okay.
And then this one was grain. This one stored grains, and you can see the doors in it.
Yeah.
Those doors are spaced so a boxcar, when the train would pull in right there, you'd unload a boxcar at each one of those doors. And then on the opposite side of the building, there's the same doors where you would unload it with the horse-drawn wagons.
Okay. That's neat.
And then the white building there, that was hay storage for just bales of hay, and that had the same deal. You had the railroad unloading on this side from the boxcars, and you had the wagons unloading from the other side. This one was the pump house, where they had all of the pumps to pump the water.
That's 1893, right?
That one, 1893 is the water tower, 1894 is the pump house, but actually what you see is an addition, which was a little bit later. The original pump house was the darker brick behind.
Okay. Right there.
Then this one over here, the white one right there, metal-sided,
Yeah.
that one was ordnance. And you can sort of see two concrete docks there.
Yeah.
That actually, when that was in use, there was one solid concrete dock that went across that entire building and connected the whole thing, and it would be railroad track right beside it. So you'd unload straight onto those docks and then into the building. And this building, the white building right here, there used to be three of them. There's one, two, and then there's a foundation you can see where that boat is parked down there.
Yeah.
And those were 800-ton coal sheds. Each one of those held 800 tons of coal, and your railroad track was on the other side. You hand shoveled it from the railroad car in, and then you hand shoveled it out this side into the horse-drawn wagons.
Okay. That's the ordnance building right there?
No, that's not ordnance, that's armory.
Armory, okay.
That's armory, so that was for the rifles, swords, and pistols.
Okay.
Smaller weaponry.
Okay.
And then the brick building you see beyond that you just see a little of, that was called the trades building. And you had the carpenters, you had the plumbers and fitters, and you had a third trade in there, and that was where the workmen had that for their building.
Okay.
And then beyond that, you have officers' row in the front, then you have sergeants' row. Just before the hospital, you have a few buildings there that's sergeants' row.
Yeah.
And officers' row and sergeants' row both mostly are duplexes.
Yeah.
And those were the only two groups that were allowed to have their families here on base.
Okay.
And so those serve families. And on officers' row, there are three of those fancy big old houses that are single. The rest are duplexes.
Yep.
But the three single ones were for the head of the fort,
Yeah.
which was usually a colonel.
Yeah.
And then one is for the chief medical officer, and then one is for the chief veterinarian.
Okay.
Those were the three people who raided their own house.
Okay. Senior officers.
Yep. And then in officers' row, just before in sergeants' row, just before the hospital, each one of those was duplexes, and the sergeants could live there, and they could have their family living with them.
Okay. Which building was a hospital?
The hospital is what is now the nursing home. It's
Oh,
on this
okay.
road, and
Yeah.
it sort of looks like a hospital. It's
Yeah.
a big brick building,
Yeah.
3 stories in the middle, and then 1 story on the 2 wings, a wing on each side.
Yeah, my grandmother was there for 7 years.
Yep, that's the old hospital. And then right beside that, the gray building next over to it is the what was originally the bakery. It's a doctor's office now,
Okay.
but that was originally a bakery in the complex. There's not a mess hall per se,
Yeah.
because cavalry is different from most of the other branches. Cavalry, you eat within your own unit.
Yeah.
There's not a base restaurant or a base mess hall.
Yeah.
There are individual dining rooms in each one of the cavalries, and the troops stayed together for their meals. So each one had its own little kitchen, but there was a separate place for the bakery because they did so much.
Yeah.
And it wasn't practical to have 10 bakeries. So they had one bakery, but then 10
Okay.
little kitchens.
So each of those barracks buildings actually had a kitchen in it?
Yes.
Okay.
Each one of the barracks had a small kitchen and a small dining hall, just enough for that building.
Okay. Okay.